Top 100 from ESPN. We're going to dive into that as well as some recruiting notes. All that and more here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. Thank y'all for pulling up. I'm your host, Jay. We got Coop next to me. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're here, please wipe your feet. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think you deserve it? Just give us 5 anyway and gift it. So, on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, me and Coop's got some fun stuff to talk about. Like, first and foremost, ESPN dropped their top 100, and we got 3 guys on the list, and I'm wondering if we got a host. We're going to dive into a little bit of recruiting information, and we'll wrap things up because guess what? Fall camp is over. Now we get to really talk about what things are going to look like as we prepare ourselves, I guess, for Temple. So hit us up on Unfair Fan Line, 430-901-1906. Let us know what you think of the show and give us all of your strongest opinions and hook us up. Coop, talk to me, man. How are you on this beautiful Sunday evening?
Talk season is over, Jay. Talk season is over. Now, I mean, not necessarily, but we're in week 0. And so I think we got a couple of, dun, 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 we can do that.
I see it. I can see it right there. Like, I can see the finish line right there for top season. I can see it right there. It's right there.
Right around the corner. No, it's, man, it's pretty cool. We got week 0 football this weekend. And, we talk about you and I specifically always, with our real life jobs, like working out in the future. And I pulled up on Saturday looking for that week 0 game, and then my wife was like, "Hey, it's next week. We still get you for one more week." So, but I'm excited. I'm excited because now we are here.
Yeah, we are actually at the point, right? Josh Pate always drops the picture of how many more Saturdays left until football, and as you mentioned, we've got some. What's this? Dublin, Ireland? Is that where the Florida State Georgia Tech game is on Saturday? So yeah, I am excited that we've made it. We survived. We're all still alive, and we're probably gonna lose our minds on the show today because we've got a fun one for you all. I see you all trickling in. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hello to everybody here in the chat. We are 100% excited at the fact that, baby, tall season's over. So we'll talk about week 0. We'll wrap that up at the end of the show. But first off, Coop, we got to talk about the thing. I think we should probably talk recruiting, right? I think recruiting probably deserves it first. Or should we just do the ESPN top 100? You know what? Let's do fall camp in ESPN 100. I think we're going to make the people wait for the conversation around recruiting because everybody knows. Y'all done synced all of the retweets. Y'all done synced all of the covered wagon updates. So we'll really get into relishing in some excitement because
Jay, don't leave out the crystal chicken wing either. You can't.
There was a chicken wing out.
There was a chicken wing.
There was chicken wings out. You're right. My bad, chicken wing king. There was Dr. Chicken Wing. There's a crystal chicken wing out. So, all right. No, but first off, top 100 that dropped, right? So, Coop, I'm going to pull this up just so the people can see it and they can get an understanding of what we're talking about. ESPN puts out their top 100 players every year. Oklahoma had 3 dudes on there. And so far on these 3 dudes, of course, you know who's supposed to be on there. Basically the guy that's a borderline first-round draft pick, Danny Stutzman. He's number 32, which, to me is a good spot for him. I think that he should have been in that range. And honestly, what they're saying here about him is, I'll read it for those that are listening to the audio version. The senior linebacker is one of the players who will be key to Oklahoma's success in 2024. An all Big 12 first-team selection last year, Stutzman led the Sooners with 104 total tackles, 51 solos, 16 tackles for the loss. He's also had 3 sacks, a pick, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. And that pick was returned for a touchdown. But then you got the other 2 dudes that made it, which kind of think there's a little bit of disrespect there, like a smidgen of disrespect. You got Billy Bowman at 73, and you got Deion Burks at 74. I'll read those in a minute. Coop, let's give me your thoughts first in regards to what the top 100, how you feeling about the 3 being there, and the last thing is, do you think somebody else should have been on there?
So again, talk season is coming to an end, so that's where we're at. Just in all honesty, this is. I mean, it's good to have guys here, right? Because it would be concerning if nothing was there. We got to think that Billy Bowman, kind of got jobbed last year. Stutzman, kind of missed out some stuff. I think that before that injury, he might have been the leader for the Butkus, but these guys come back because unfinished business. I mean, there's a lot of unfinished business. Billy Bowman, you and I have had this conversation. I think we talked about it in the Cord. One of the things that holds him back is a lot of missed tackles. And so, he's got the opportunity. I mean, it's just kind of like, you being ranked at 16. It's like we know what you're capable of. Now come show me. And so I think that Billy Bowman being right there, I know that he sees it and he's like, all right. And he gives Jada a call, and she's like, I think I was like number 2 in my sport, but we know she wins a few of them, but he offers a lot more than just the play, but he's got another level that I want to see him hit that extra level this year, because he doesn't have to be Mr. Everything. You've got RSJ, you've got Peyton Bowen, and then the boogeyman cometh too. Boganowski is another guy that's that safety room is just such a stellar room. But Deion Burks, it's you take an elite receiver off of a Purdue team and put him on Oklahoma, who has traditionally, been more of a pass-happy kind of attacking downfield type of an offense. And so, that right there is, I don't think he's in the top 100 if he's still at Purdue. So you get a couple guys on here, and so I'm happy for this because, again, it shows, hey, you got some respect, but us around here, we think all those guys are probably supposed to be a little bit higher, and I'll save my snubs till after you get your feedback.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, and I think 73 and 74 is a little low, but at the same time, like with Billy Bowman, let me read it for those that are listening. Bowman has started 29 of 35 games he has played in his career and was named first-team All-Big 12 player for his efforts in 2023. He was second in the country with 6 interceptions, 3 of which he took back for touchdowns, and ranked third on the team with 63 total tackles. And then Deion Burks, despite playing for a 4-8 Purdue team last year, Burks was one of the top 9 quarterback additions in the winter transfer portal. He gives new quarterback Jackson Arnold a number 1 target who can find the end zone, 7 touchdowns last year, and stretch defenses. Burks had a reception of 42 yards or longer in 4 games last fall, including an 84-yard score against Fresno State. So I don't mind us being ranked lowly this year. And the unfortunate thing is for a player like Billy Bowman, like a Deion Burks, who's most likely, neither one of them most likely going to be here next season, I feel kind of bad that, they don't get the opportunity to have be highly ranked in the top 100 of the preseason. But I think next year that respect's really going to show based upon who decides to come back, like a Nick Anderson, if he decides to return. 6'4", 220. Roughly. You would expect, as Teddy Lehman has said before, you would expect a guy like that to get more attention, right? Defensive line still needs to prove itself. I will still live and die on that hill. I totally get it. They still need to prove themselves. But outside of that, this was really, to me, the 3 that made the most sense, right? Revamped offensive line, so somebody next year will populate on there. I can sense it, once they prove themselves. But I think the defensive line is where I feel like we potentially got a snub, but I think that someone's going to jump out and be on their next season, especially once Dominic's gone. I could see an edge player ending up on there. I could see a Stone or Jaden Jackson being considered top 100. We've lucked out with the players. Linebacker room, somebody's got to replace Stutzman, so I think that we'll get one of those. We've lucked out to where we've got 3 layers and 3 levels of talent that could potentially end up on this list next season. Yeah,
and for this season, maybe the only one I got to say, I don't understand why Dominic Williams isn't on here. I mean, even if you want to throw him at Hundy, whatever. But I mean, dude showed out. He was an all-conference level player for the Big 12. He's had he's had a game in the national championship. So I mean, you got that. Then you also got Nick Anderson, because I mean, Nick Anderson had 10 touchdowns, and he was one of the better producers in college football last year. And I don't understand why he's not in there. But yeah, I agree with you fully. It's guys, look at what we got here. We got 2 defensive players and 1 offensive player on a top 100 list. How long has it been since we've seen a defensive player that's getting some flowers before the season from a national level?
Coop, that is probably the best perspective I've heard from anybody in talking about this. That right there is gold. Folks, listen to what Coop is telling you right now. The best part about this is that we've got 2 defenders on here. So, as y'all know, we preach defense on this channel all the time. Literally, that's the one thing I emphasize purposely, because I want y'all to understand. I know how you feel, Sooner fans. We're not used to this. What?
Yeah.
Good defensive players? Wait, the nation is recognizing our defensive guys? Coop! I don't know. I feel like I'm on unstable ground right now. I'm a little terrified.
I'm trying to think, like, I mean, who was the last guy? Who was the last guy to get any type of props from a defensive standpoint? Like, I mean, I know that we got some.
Gotta be K9, right?
Maybe Kenneth Murray. Lori Brogdon, I do love you. I see it. My ADHD, it don't play very well sometimes. But I got to go with Kenneth Murray's probably the last one. I mean, you got to go back a little bit further than that. I mean, you had the 2020 defense that when those guys came back from suspension, you had Isaiah Thomas, Nick Bonito, Perion Winfrey, and Ronnie Perkins, and those guys really showed out at the end of the season, and that was Grinch's only like admirable defense that he had. Now they struggled the next year, so. But yeah, this is it. And when you've seen some of the national highlights around what OU is, what people are excited about OU being back, it was defense. That was the one that's our saving grace and why we're probably in the top 25 was because of what they're expecting year 3 out of Venables on the defense side. But yeah, this is good because we've had the conversations, around the horn, pulling back and saying, the conversation of the days where we're like, if we could just hold teams to 30, we could do so much if we could just hold them to 30.
Yep.
And now, I mean, I know that in some of our circles, we're throwing out over and unders for the first 3 games of the season and the first 7 games of the season on points given up. And I know last year you were saying like 18 to 20 in the first in the non-conference schedule. So I mean, we've got some excitement, and I think that we saw steps last year. We're going to see a continuation this year because it's about the Topher. This one's for you. It's about the competitive depth. You got to have the competitive depth to play great defense because you can't let someone come off the field and all of a sudden your defense, basically takes I'm going with like a 40 spot, step back from a total, efficiency. So, yeah, this is exciting. I mean, as a Sooner fan, it is very, very, very exciting. And I'll say this, according to that list, Jay, is I think that if you do this at the end of the year, I think you probably have 3 or 4 other guys on there. And Steven, he just says it down there. I think Fabichi Wewu, that's a cat that a lot of people are going to. He is a tank, and he is going to put people in the Heart Locker. I think that Burks is going to skyrocket up there. And from what I'm hearing is. The running backs are iron sharpens iron situation between Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk. So we might have ourselves a little thunder and lightning coming back.
No, that's a fair point. And as I think about this, yeah, I'm looking back. 52 points the first 5 games last season was the total number of points we gave up, and the Iowa State game started our streak of giving up at least 20 points per game. for the rest of the season. Before that, it was less. And so for me, my prediction is our first 3 games, we should give up less than combined 30 points. If we can do that, I'm sold on this defense 100%. But I mean, I'm sold on the defense, but I think we'll be even better. How many points do you think we'll give up?
I mean, I'm going for 20 or less.
Okay. Last year was 28, so that's fine.
I don't see, I do not want anybody to get twisted after game 1, because last year after game 1, I thought Sam Hartman was winning the Heisman Trophy. As he played week 0 against Northwestern. He looked amazing. That running back looked amazing. But Temple's offense is one of the worst in college football, like one of the worst. And they've already been coming out and saying like he's treating this kind of like a live scrimmage. He's going to play everybody. So, that's hard for a team like Temple to roll in, and you don't want your starters out there just getting their brains beat in, for 4 quarters. You want to spread it out a little bit. So it could get ugly in game 1. So I just want everybody to kind of pump the brakes, because if you go out there and you see like a 55-0 or something like that, like it's still Temple. But I want to see some there's things that I want to see. I want to see a lack of coverage issues. I want to see I want to see a 3 or 4 a 3 or 4 3-and-outs, in a row. I want to see stuff like that. I want to see when, they've got like a 3rd and 2, I want to see us shut it down immediately. I mean, shut it down. So if they try to run, it's not only nothing, it's negative. Those are things I want to see with the defense. And then I also want to see, I think Hank said it best, I would like to see our defense outscore Temple.
That would be dope to see. I actually want to see that against Temple, Houston, and Tulane. I don't think it's realistic against Tennessee. I think that Heupel's offense is just a little too good to do that, but that don't mean it can't happen, because we've seen Tennessee get shut down even with Hendon Hooker in the Heupel era. So it's a possibility, because I don't know if they have the wide receivers they had in the Hendon Hooker era. So there's a chance, but I would love to see this defense outscore the opposition at least in the first 3 games. That's a good foundation set going into the next. So I love that. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. Thank you for showing up for the show. Hit that like button. Wipe your feet. New to the channel, go ahead and survive. Also share. Why? Because sharing is caring. Okay, Coop. Fall camp is done. I know that the team did a pseudo light walkthrough. Well, light scrimmage, I guess you could say, right? Bodies are starting to get banged up. They're building up that quote-unquote resistance, calluses on the body to be able to handle more hits, because we know that Temple, it's time to game plan for Temple. What's your takeaway so far as camp has ended? What questions do you potentially have, and what takeaways do you have so far?
We've seen the health did not stay, top key at the end of fall camp on the offensive line. And so you had, Bradson Hickman out, and, they pulled Josh Bates out too. They're running Josh Iasosa at center. Basically because you can't lose Bates and have, Hickman nicked up. I think that everybody's going to be, I think we're going to have our full complement of offensive linemen, once we get to Temple. But you want to be able to, like I said, you want to be able to play several people. You want to make sure that, you have, your goals as a team going into game 1. And that's where installation starts now, because Jackson Arnold, he's done going one-on-ones. Now he gets to play against the scout team.
Yeah.
Now he gets to basically work without feeling Brent Venables and Zach Alley's defense, coming down his throat, with all the pressure that they do. And so that's the exciting part. It is that Saturday was the last bit. Listening to Teddy, he got to go. Gabe, I don't think he did, but supporting them in the Oklahoma Breakdown shirt tonight. But a lot of extra, ex players came up, some guys that haven't been around the program for several years, and there's a lot of excitement. Around just around the program, just because of the SEC piece. And so for what I want to see, the questions are, number one is defensive ends. Game 1 through 3, we're going to be very, 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 very vanilla. We're going to play a lot of stuff straight up. I don't think that you're going to see anything that you want, any new looks that are going to happen. You're going to see a lot of straight up play, and so you're going to see a lot of guys rotating in, and so I'm pretty excited about that. But I want to see the pressure get home without a lot of exotic blitzes, by these defensive ends these first 3 games, because that's one of the big things is we've seen the capability. We saw a lot of max protect last year, and that was it became a little bit more of an excuse. For us fans as the year went along, is it's all max protect, and then we point towards the Texas game that they didn't do it, and we got home quite often. So, I want to see, out of Bouare, I want to see him and taking that step. Does that extra weight and that extra strength help him out? Ethan Downs, again, Ethan, I apologize on behalf of Sooner Nation. You are the heart and soul of this team, and so many of us have slept on you and just didn't believe going into last year. So I don't worry about him, but let's see Caden Woolard. I know his dad is in here right now, and some of the stuff I'm hearing about Caden is dude is hungry. The dude wants to make a name for himself. Also, our Mason Thomas. I want to see what does he look like, and then I think we're going to get to see our boy Danny and our guy Nigel. I think we're going to get to see them quite a bit in the first couple games. Is what does it look like when Danny Okoye finally is told, hey, it ain't no blue jersey, go get it, get it. And so what do I want to see? Really, the first game is let's not bounce off of sacks, let's not bounce off of tackles. I mean, take your guy to the ground and finish the play and leave nothing to doubt. And because that's how you're going to do good things in the SEC.
That's true. So when I'm looking at the questions for myself, I have some, of course. I'm ready to see who's going to be the one that jumps at wide receiver and takes the reins. Now that we lost Gibson, right? I'm sensing that it's going to be a Hester show. It's funny because our resident dog guy, Red Dirt Sports, he tweets out that he expects a 2-touchdown game against Temple for JJ Hester. Tulsa, stand up. Need to start rocking my Tulsa shirt just so I could represent for the man. But I feel like he has a good chance of showing up. I think we're going to see some of the younger guys, but as a veteran presence, someone that's been around long enough, I think him and J.A. could really build some chemistry early this season and actually show out going in preparation for Tennessee. But you're right. It's going to be vanilla sets. I know people are not going to be happy about that. I mean, I listened to fans complain last year. I mean, we allowed 27 points in the first 3 games and people were pissed because we were still vanilla. If people were mad we were vanilla against Arkansas State, we won 73-0. That's just going to be what it is. What I want to see is just them going out there and making it happen, though. I don't want to see too much tempo, but I want to see some tempo. I want to see us go, right? But at the same time, I don't want to see Levy tempo. I'd like to see us get big chunk plays and possibly score quickly.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping our defense takes the ball back quickly and then we can slow things down the second time around. Right? I kind of want to see that type of complimentary football because I know the defense is going to do their job, right? Just like they did with Arkansas State. I anticipate game 1 to be that. And we'll preview Temple next week, not this coming Wednesday, but next Wednesday as we prepare for game week because me and Coop will definitely be at the game. But as Lori mentioned here, do you think we put 100 on Temple? I don't think that Venables would allow 100. Unless we just keep getting pick sixes, right? Now, if it's like 90-0 at the half, I mean, ain't much he can actually do to stop us from doing anything, right? But yeah, we're gonna be straight vanilla, but I want to see if Hester's the one that's gonna do it, right? Running back room, I do have questions about who's gonna be right there with Sawchuk, because we know that Barnes has had a good camp, based upon all the reports. I was looking at OU Insider not too long ago, as well as 247. And Story over there at Scoop, actually all three of them, they were all talking about Javonte Barnes looking like his old self. Coop, what does that mean for us? How do you think that fits for us this coming year?
The one that I want to really, really kind of highlight is something that I think the Oklahoma Breakdown guys were, they've talked about him, and that's one that I want to really have people point out, because I mean those guys were players, and they said last year Javonte just looked like everything was heavy, everything was slow, and the decisions and just anything there was so much effort with so little consequence, and so I know from what I've seen he is looking very, very light on his feet. He's making he's great on decisions. I expect this to be somewhere between a 60-65% run team, between scheme runs, RPO, quarterback run. And so I want to see guys where Sawchuk, he has a little bit more than that Kennedy Brooks, hesitation in his game where he'll let the blocks set up. Whereas Javonte Barnes, he looks like and I'm going deep in the bag here, but a Terrell Davis. He is a guy who's a one-cut downhill guy.
Yeah, I can see
now,
that.
Terrell Davis is a Hall of Famer, so I'm not calling him Terrell Davis. That's just the style. And so I have a very, 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 very big hope that we're going to see him be able to hit the hole and just go. And it's going to, if you see him doing that, if you remember that Florida State game, that's where he was, where he was getting his. Last year, it seemed like he was not 100% sure what's going to happen, in front of him. And so it looked like he was thinking too much instead of just running. And so, that's the big piece for those two. Now you've got behind them. You heard Caleb Hicks. He looks the part. He hasn't had his opportunity to get out there and run. You have behind him, Taylor Tatum is starting to demand himself some time. And then Xavier Robinson, hearing a lot more about Xavier Robinson at the end of the camp. He lost some weight, and DeMarco's going to put guys out there who he knows that he can trust no matter what the play call is. He doesn't want specialists out on the field, when it means something. He wants you to be able, if it's a pass protect, he wants you to pass protect. If it is, a run play, he wants you to run in the hole that it is designed to go to, because it is hard to correct things if you don't do the stuff that was being called, because ad-libbing just doesn't work. And if you go back way, way, way in the history here, not too way, but Roy Finch was a guy that everybody wanted to see more of at running back several years ago.
That's true.
Roy had a big issue with ad-libbing, and this ain't NCAA 25. This is actual football. So you got to be able to run and hit the hole, because if that gets clogged up, that's it's something you can fix that way. But if you go somewhere else, and the play design would have worked if you would have just stayed home, that's not. Marco doesn't have any patience for that.
Yeah, somebody mentioned here 60% run, no way. Don't be surprised if we're running the ball 60% of the time with 40% pass, right? Statistics may not show that, but I think the play call ratio will probably be close to that. I can 100% see Latrell doing that, because that's just kind of how Latrell does things. He likes to have the run game heavily involved. I mean, just go look back at what he did from North Carolina to Arizona to Indiana, even at North Texas. He likes to run down your throat. He's tough, right? It's funny, they had the video with us. They asked them, the players during the Olympics, what Olympic sport they participate in, and you knew what Seth Latrell said. It was very simple: wrestling. He wants to he's going to get in the mud, and beat you up. That's his game. So that's what you're going to see out of this run game. And you know what? You said the Terrell Davis piece. It's not too far-fetched. Terrell Davis was about 5'11", 210 at his prime. Barnes 6 foot 207, probably be 210 by season play. And they do have a similar game set, right? It's that one cut, boom, go straight. Where he needs to cut, boom, go to the side. He beat you on the sideline because Barnes is fast enough. If he's back to his old self, being that, like you mentioned, he was a little hesitant in some of his runs, and I think it was that toe. Because that toe's been bothering him since high school. Yeah. So it was kind of bothering him his freshman year. He did good against Florida State. It was nagging going through the spring and when he had surgery on it, and it was still nagging him through the season. But if he's feeling good and he can hit those one cuts, yeah, Coop. He's 2, right? You probably will see a little Caleb Hicks. I don't know how much Megwa you'll get to see, even though I would love to see some Megwa. I don't sense that we'll see much of him, and I'm okay with that. I think that DeMarco Murray is ready for someone to step up and jump in. Sam Franklin, hopefully he's, out the doghouse. But I think it was a video of him getting chewed out by DeMarco in the back. And I think it was Trap House had Trap House Boomin had posted it, not the video, but he had posted a comment to Franklin more so to, hey, you're going to get chewed out. That's just how we do things. But again, I think that room is probably a lot more safe than I was expecting. Wide receiver, of course, we're good. Emmett Jones doing it. Offensive line real quick. So the reports coming down in a lot of this is that we're feeling some nicks and bruises. But it doesn't sound like anybody won't be available for Temple. Sooner fans, it's fall camp. First time collisions are happening. You're going to get nicked up. It's okay. In some situations, you want them to build those calluses up in preparation for the real hits, especially come Tulane, because Tulane's always got big dudes, right? They've always got big talent. Houston's brought in a lot of the players from Tulane last year because that's where, Fritz comes from. So they're going to be sizey. But I think Tulane is the game that we really get muddy and in physical. But that's a good thing. You kind of want to catch whatever type nicks and bruises you're going to get early so you can start preparing for it. So offensive line-wise, I'm going to give you my offensive line prediction now before we do our full depth chart next Sunday before the Temple game, because the official one to come out. We'll give our, prediction and who we expect, the right before, just because it's fun. It's something fun to talk about. On the offensive line, man, I'm really thinking that you're going to have – I'm thinking Sexton still takes that spot. I still think Lozada gets that guard, Hickman, Waywu, and then Taylor. But I think Tarkin rotates in a lot. Same thing with Gary and Hatchett. What you think? Am I crazy? Am I off base? Uh-oh.
Man, it's...
the side tells everything, Coop.
Man, I really feel that Bill Bedenbaugh is going to roll out who he thinks has done the most and done the best during the camp. And so then I think the tinkering throughout I think that the tinkering throughout the rest of the first game, game 2, game 3 really start happening. And that is I'm going with Tarquin at left tackle, Sexton left guard, going with Hickman at center, Waywu, and Jake Taylor. Unless Jake Taylor doesn't get the kind of the health grade that they're looking for, then you may see Spencer Brown at that right tackle spot. I bet we see 12 offensive linemen play in game 1. There's going to be quite a bit of guys because everybody I saw in the chat, EPL is doing what EPL was expected to come in here and do. EPL is getting his. Everett is back in healthy, and he's probably going to get some run. You're probably going to see Bates out there too. They're going to want to see Iasosa get some play. So yeah, we're going to get quite a bit, and Brooks. So Akinkumi, we're probably not going. If he gets any play, it might be in the main game, middle of the year. But I think that he is still coming back from his surgery. I think that his intelligence is phenomenal. And then the last guy is Isaiah Autry. Autry is a guy who not a lot of hoopla is being made out yet because they're trying to figure it's kind of like a 1A, 1B at both tackle spots right now with, Tarquin and Sexton and then Taylor and Spencer Brown. But the guy that's right there ready to go is Isaiah Autry. And, if you guys watch my interview with his pops, like his dad was an offensive lineman, played with Steve McNair. His mom played for Pat Summitt, Tennessee legend in women's basketball. So he has some phenomenal pedigree. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with maybe the starters roll out there, and you may not see them, do more than one or two series together before Beanbo starts kind of swinging people in and out. But health is going to be the big piece. It is, how does Beanbo handle that? Are we running a lot of stretch plays? Are we running a lot of boundary plays so that guys are more, on the move than grinding? We'll just see, because again, you got. What do we got? 12 days. You got 12 days of health time. And and again, like I said, I don't think Temple is going to put up much resistance on defense, but you definitely want people getting stronger as the weeks go.
Yeah, no, and looking at this last season against Arkansas State, we actually played like 14 offensive linemen.
So
that's not bad.
It's a good thing to get out there, right? Is to be able to see some of these younger kids, because that 24 offensive line class is going to be kind of forgotten when by the time we roll at the end of this week and what we have coming in the 25 class. But there are some dudes on that 24 line class that they have heard everything plus more about how it wasn't a good cycle. It wasn't a good year. And the rest of this offensive line, they led with example. You just get out there and get it going.
Yeah, last year, and then, of course, SMU, we played less. We played about 7. So we swapped out the left guards a lot. But then, of course, Tulsa, we went back and we brought out just about every single offensive lineman and gave him some run, which, as you said, it's kind of what you want to do. You want to be able to rotate, see how everybody's feeling, how everybody's doing or whatnot. Yeah, and Sean, you're right. Someone will ironically hype up Temple this week. I've already got somebody in one of my mentions. Who was it? Circa dropped their lines for week 1. And I just tweeted out that Colorado State's got a chance to do the funniest thing week 1. And then, of course, they responded back, Temple has the best chance to do something for week 1. Yeah, it's funny. That's a good response. Well played. Because both of them, I think Texas is a 35-point favorite. We're like a 40-point favorite. So it can be pretty funny. I'm here for it.
Colorado State's chippy.
They are. Yeah, Jay Norvell's got them boys a little bit with a chip on their shoulder, man. They're still mad at Colorado, so
they still are.
I'm sensing there's a good opportunity for them to say, hey, we're going to prove ourselves, because if we beat an old Big 12 team and we play against Colorado, we'll be ready. But I think they get throttled this entire season by everybody. I don't think they're going to be a very good team at all. So, thank y'all for pulling up to the channel as usual. Hit that like button. New to the channel, subscribe. If you're listening, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. Coop, may as well start talking a little bit of recruiting before we talk week 0. Chuck asked this good question. It's a very good question here. If we don't get your 5-star O-line, will you cry? Absolutely not. I don't let that alter my emotions. But I'll tell you this. I have very low concerns of the chances that we don't get to land this one. So as y'all know, a couple of big players that we're after right now. Michael Fasusi, the crown jewel of the class for a lot of schools, makes his announcement 3 p.m. on Wednesday. We will be live. I think PG is going to join us, but it'll definitely be me and Coop. I've already blocked out that time at work. That way no one bothers me. But we will be going live to commemorate the commitment Now, no one knows exactly where he's going, but shout out to our guy PG, with the PG show. If you haven't checked out his channel, you know where to go. Steven points it out. PG has been hardcore on the Fasusi train to Oklahoma for almost a year. And it was all been conversations he's had with the player and just the way the tea leaves have read. No one has officially told anybody anything, but it's been the feelings of now the way he responds and the way he kind of glows in those conversations. It really looks like Oklahoma. And as y'all know, we got a whole bunch of flips on. Yeah, we got a bunch of flips of people's predictions from Texas to Oklahoma. So everything is now leaning into the pocket of Oklahoma pre-commitment. Coop, how you feel?
I think Fasusi's a Sooner. And this is not, again, we've been in on this one for quite a long time. And there's been lots of conversation around where Michael Fasusi is going to go. With everything that it's not just that people were dropping crystal balls for Fasusi. They were changing very, very, very long time predictions for Texas. I find it a little funny because I don't think Texas has been the destination since Fasusi's last visit. And when was that, in April or May, the last time that he came into town. And it's not about playing time. I think when you're a guy like Michael Fasusi, you expect to come in and start in whatever program that you're going to. And so it's from what I'm understanding is the decision still. I mean, the card is still not at the draft podium yet. But you start seeing everybody with their prediction flips. You've seen the white flag and the walking back from the Texas insiders for quite a long time now, for a couple weeks. Man, I'll just tell you this: it's Fasusi is, again, he is. I mean, this is Bill Bedenbaugh's his crown jewel. And did I hear it right, Jay, that Fasusi is committing on Bill Bedenbaugh's birthday?
So, yeah, the 21st is also Bill Bedenbaugh's birthday. Yeah, I thought that was pretty coincidental. I think someone mentioned that was also the date that his family came to the States. I don't know how all of this stuff coincidentally decides to line up. But, hey, if the stars aligned, I ain't complaining. I'm here for it.
And we saw Texas start offering and going after other targets, and a couple weeks ago. And so when that starts becoming more public information, it's been in play for a little while. And I kid you not, this was one of the I think it was Eric Nolan, one of the Texas insiders. He said, don't get it twisted. This was still Flood's number one guy that he was going after. It's still his guy. And that doesn't mean that they moved on. So you're going to see people walk back and make it's not that big a deal. We didn't really want him. We're going after somebody in 26. Now, listen, this is a top flight. This is a top flight offensive lineman. We've been kind of pointing at this since, this time last year, Jay, because we were talking about the offensive line recruiting being, really, not as robust in that 24 class. Bill Bedenbaugh went and got him some diamonds in the rough, and we know what and again, I agree with that spot. We know what he does with these 3-star and these 4-star guys. Now, what happens if he has a guy who likes to work, who knows who everybody knows who Bill Bedenbaugh is. If you want a gentle teddy bear to come out and emotionally support you out on the practice field, go somewhere else, because Bill Bedenbaugh treats everybody the same. And you mess up.
Yeah, he's a stickler for doing your job and getting it done, which is a good thing, right? We've seen. I know y'all have seen all the videos of Tyler Guyton and the way that he's been playing in the NFL here in the preseason. Sure, it's preseason, but he's still playing against the ones, and people have taken notice in his skill set. People have taken notice in his capabilities. And people are like, hey, man, Dallas maybe got in the steal in the draft by snatching this guy up. He's out there cooking Jared Verse again. in their joint scrimmage, which I was just cracking up. Versus like, dude, I cannot get away from this guy. Why can I not get away from this dude? That's that Bill Bedenbaugh special. And, this is a very solid point here. We're Bagman. Nope, not Bagman. Richard mentioned it. I think we can live with 3-star and 4-star O-line. BB is that good, but imagine what he can do with the top players. I cannot wait. I agree. We've seen Bedenbaugh do this with, players that have not been evaluated well. Heck, I think one of my favorite ones as of outside of Tyler Guyton is now Ryan Fogier, right?
Yeah.
When he did the commitment, I made a video. He's a 3-star. I got a whole bunch of people saying 3-star you, and trying to clown. And I'm just like, don't worry. Evaluations are going to happen. I'm telling you. There's something special about this kid, especially the way he moves. And there's a reason why Bedenbaugh wanted him. He's top 100 now. He's like 84 on one, 64 on another. The anticipation is that he could end up in the top 40s on most of the recruiting sites. Sounds like really good evaluating to me. And so you land him as one bookend with Fasusi and then all the young players. Yeah, you're putting some stuff together. So a lot of questions in here. Jaden Hardy's also one we got to talk about. Jaden Hardy, Sean Hutton, all the friends, former teammates. That is definitely people that deserve some recognition because we're building the Louisville to Norman pipeline. I would love to see more of that.
And you know who tweeted that part, right? Or who chimed in that?
Yep.
So, listen, mark it down. Around December, Bill Bedenbaugh is going to be in the top 5 for Recruiter of the Year. And I've been calling this since June. At that point, I thought Rogers was Oklahoma bound at that point. But I think that, like I said, with Owen Hollenbeck, this is a guy who's going to get forgotten because of the 3-star part. Listen, Creed Humphrey was the same rating as Owen Hollenbeck. Hollenbeck is an absolute stud. And then you throw in Fogier, who I believe will be a 5-star guy when it's all said and done, with Fasusi. Sean Hutton is a kid who a lot of people don't understand. Like, this guy could be a D1 player under scholarship somewhere else, but he's coming here because he wants to be great. And I know that his parents, let him have his process and kept up with that. But watch out, because I think it is going to be a really, really cool thing for Bill Bedenbaugh. And like I said, the hate is going to move on because you can't be clowning on Bedenbaugh anymore. And so I'm excited for Coach Bedenbaugh because he had this year circled, the relationships that he started with guys like Ty Haywood, who end up at Alabama, Lamont Rogers, who currently is with Missouri. But Fogier is one that I see Tyler Guyton. When I look at Fogier, he's a guy who is extremely athletic. He's going to come in and he's going to get good weight. But yeah, this offensive line group with who's on campus now and who's coming in, Bill Bedenbaugh's got some tools to cook with. And
as much as I adore Bama, shout out to my guy Ty Hayes and all the people that do the Bama content, Jake, Coach, all the few folks that we're really cool with, Jace. They got a lot of flips happening right now. People going after their people. Mm-hmm. So, just saying, don't think that Ty is 100% off base. I also don't even think Lamont Rogers is 100% out. So, yeah. No. We answer some questions, and then we're going to jump into week 0, kind of, talk about some of the games there. So, thank you for pulling up. Again, wipe your feet, hit the like button, new to the channel, subscribe. Rate, review, all that jazz. Good question, Layla. Are you guys going to do a pregame live show at the tailgate before the home games and maybe some away games? I don't think we'll be able to just because of the logistics and guarantee we'll be there. Not this year, maybe next. I think I'm going to work on some stuff. There's a chance I may do something before Tulane with Locked On. They've got a partnership with someone that's doing something at the tailgate, and we were invited out there. So that might have something there. May stream it here as well as on the Locked On channel. So keep your eyes open for that. Sooner Cowboys asks question: if OU tries to flip somebody, who do y'all think or hope that would be? Me, it's Lamont Rogers. Cool.
I don't want to say a couple different things right now, but let's go with Lamont Rogers at the moment. I think that maybe you take another run at Smith Orogbo from at Texas. Texas is having some issues right now. They're down to 5 total defensive commitments, and
they just had a flip on the corner not too long ago.
Phillips to LSU, and we're in a really, really kind of a curious way of recruiting right now. And for everybody who questioned the Brent Venables, commit once you're ready and don't commit until you are ready, this is saving us a lot of heartache, because a lot of guys are committing and getting their spot locked up, and then they continue to go and go and go. And now we're seeing people flip left and right. And, you see Alabama has lost 3 or 4 guys here recently. Texas, they thought that they were in on a lot of 5 stars. Because I remember, what was it, at the beginning of August, how many 5 stars can we get in August? And it was like, was it going to be 4 or 5? Well, I don't think they're going to hit that number. We've got the absolute complete advantage, this coaching staff, because after Fasusi on Wednesday, you've essentially got one other, bullet in the chamber, and each coach can go out and start having conversations. And if the team starts showing out in the SEC, and then you go, hey, we're this position's where we're at, and I think that you can help us. That's a good conversation to be able to have, and have all your focus there, because you still don't want to press super hard on 26 until later in the year.
Yeah, no, I get you on that one. I like this one, Blaine Child. This is a good one. Do you guys think Dillon Gabriel will win the Heisman? I don't think Dillon Gabriel wins the Heisman this year, but I think he ends up in New York. The way that Oregon runs their offense, this really is suited really good for what Dillon Gabriel's skill set is, right? Like, I think Joe Class said it best to me. And he said that the way that Levy's offense is set, it's built for a quarterback to leverage the size and speed of the talent you have at the wide receiver room. Hence why Emmett Jones and the way that he's recruited in comparison. Actually, Kel Gundy recruited the exact same way as the way Emmett Jones is. A lot of big dudes, some fast guys for the slot. Similar, they got similar, I guess you could say, types of players they would go after, right? They both had a type. Kale was just really good at recruiting all the other positions too. Like, you leveraged him in any other position, running back, help with quarterback, help offensive line. Emmett is really good at the relationships in the Dallas area to get other players, but he's really good at finding his wide receivers. And so Levy's offense was not built to make Dillon Gabriel great, right? It was built for him to be really, really good, but it requires a lot more deep passes. And unfortunate thing with Dillon Gabriel was not that his arm wasn't strong enough. He waited too late to throw it, right? It was usually a click too late. If he would have threw, because we saw him hit Brendan Thompson deep in stride. We saw him hit Andrew Anthony in stride once. We saw him hit Nick Anderson a few times in stride, right? We saw him hit Jay Gibson in stride, right? The problem is that on some of the deep ones, he was a click too late on his throw. If he would have threw it a click earlier, maybe like half a second or a second earlier, he hit him in stride. So, Coop, you think that DG got a chance at the Heisman?
No, I don't think he does, because I don't think that Oregon is going to have the season. Oregon's going to be good, and Oregon is probably going to hit the playoff. But I really truly don't think that. I think that you're going to need to see Oregon come in and probably lose one game or be undefeated for him to win that Heisman. But that offense is not set up the same way. It's absolutely not set up the same way at Oregon. It is set up the same way at Oregon, where you've got speed merchants on the outside. And I was just watching the TCU game the other day. When he bombs to Brendan Thompson, Brendan Thompson had to stop and come back to the ball, and that stuff's not going to go over super well over and over and over again. and he misses a lot of plays. So I mean, I think that there's going to be more exciting players around the country that people are going to focus on. But yeah, I think there's a good chance that he goes. And listen, I love DG. Like I said, I think he was a bridge player for Oklahoma. He's in the same book as a Paul Thompson for me, because I mean, he was a guy who we saw what happened at Texas when we didn't have him. So bless him. He's a great guy. He came back this year because the NIL money up in Oregon was going to be better than holding the clipboard and what he would get, as a 6th, 7th, undrafted free agent in the NFL. So, anytime that you want to have anybody just dog on Dylan Gabriel as a player, he just has his limitations.
Yeah, it's true. That is very true. All right, this is a good one from Steven. Who has the higher ceiling, Foje or Fasusi? Woo! So, I mean, honestly, this is pretty tough. Both of them are roughly 6'5", 6'6", around 300 pounds. So they're like, it's a borderline carbon copy of each other. Both really good movement. I think Fasusi is a little bit faster. And I think he's a little bit more technically sound today, but that doesn't mean that Foje can't get to that same point. If I'm going to say it, Coop, I'm going to be real. I think Fasusi has this one. What you got?
I think Foje has the higher ceiling, but he has the lower floor. He has the lower floor. I think that Fasusi, I mean, I would just be absolutely stunned if this guy was not an all-conference player, pretty quickly, newcomer of the year type of guy once he comes out. So, but I do think that Foje has that speed and blend. Foje might be a guy who doesn't have the capability to have the college career that Fasusi will, but he's a guy that could, go to the NFL and, be there for, 12 to 15 years as an all-pro type of a guy.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. I can see that exact same thing. The way that Foje moves, the way he plays, yeah, there's a good chance that they're both very high on the league capabilities, right? They have both that type of talent. I think Fasusi is first round talent. I think Foje is late first, early second. If they reach their peak potential on both, because I think both of them have that capability. I think both have first round. I think Fasusi can be top 10 if he shows up the way that everybody's predicting and the way that everybody has graded him. He's just that dude, and he's shown it in the Texas football. So we'll see what that looks like on that part. Next question here, which I think is interesting, and then we're going to talk about these week 0 games. How many natties do you think will be won under BV before he either retires or leaves Oklahoma? Now, I don't think he leaves Oklahoma by choice. Things had to get really bad before BV gone, but I don't think that's going to be a situation. Natties, I think over the next, so I see 20 years out of him. I think he could pull a 20-year here. He has the personality to do it, the work ethic for it, and I think he has the mindset. I think he can pull at least 2. Coop, what you think?
He's 53 years old, born in 1970. He's a Salina, Kansas guy. He doesn't understand not working. This is a guy who continues to get out there and go crazy.
Run the bleachers.
Yeah. So, and Onikuno, I'm with you. Like, let's. I don't want to talk way out in the future like that. I think I remember after one of our losses last year, I think it was after, which was a KU loss last year. You were like, "Hey, Oklahoma's ranked X in the playoff rankings," and my answer was, "I don't care. Like, I don't care now. Now it's like, let's get better for the next year." So, but I will say this is I see Brent Venables winning at least 2 national championships in his tenure here. I think that the way that he's built it up, and we're working on a guest who really focused on, how OU and Brent Venables has built this team over the past couple of years, and how they were 5 5 steps ahead. And I just really believe that he is trying to build this program to be sustainable for the future from an NIL standpoint, from a culture standpoint, investing back in the players, a player-led team. Don't get that wrong. Like this team still is ran by the coaches, but if you can have the players actually running, what you do on the field, there's ownership there.
Yes.
And everybody in here has a job. And when you just show up to collect the paycheck and bounce out, the investment's not going to be there the same way as someone who comes in and that really takes ownership of their job. So that's why I think that, it's 15 years. So that would put him at 68 years old. I believe it's going to be a very, very cool, process, but it's going to get harder and harder and harder to win these national championships because, you're playing the best of the best at the end of the year instead of, basically being given an opportunity to go and play 2 games. So it's, you got to look at OU this year is if OU finds themselves in the conference championship game, OU is going to end the season with Missouri, Alabama, LSU, and then one of those teams again or a Georgia. And so, that's a tough stretch. And then if you don't win that game and you make it into the playoff, now you got to turn around the next week and play another team who obviously is in the top 15 of the country. And I think some of those things are hard. So I want to see, Brent Venables continue to keep this culture going forward. And again, this is all speculation. We think this defense is going to be a top 5 defense in the SEC, probably top 3, top 15 in the country. Like, we got to see it. It's still got to show up. I saw questions about the zone coverage. How does the zone coverage play out this year? Because that's not just a defensive back thing, Jay. You and I have talked about this multiple times. Like, that's a linebacker thing also. Yep. You can't play good zone coverage with the linebackers not being in the right spots because they call that a window, and that's how you beat zone coverage. So we got those pieces, and then, obviously Jackson Arnold, he has to take off because you need Jackson Arnold to be in that probably somewhere around 30 total touchdowns, between 5 and 8 turnovers. You need him to be in that this year 1 and continue to take, steps going forward because complementary football can happen when both sides are playing good, but I also don't want the reverse of what we've seen the past couple of years where we have just a kick-ass defense and then an offense that is struggling to do anything.
Yeah, that's meh. Yeah, you don't want to have one side, not the other, which I love that we're balancing it out. We're actually focusing mainly on defense because we know the offense is going to be there. So there's no reason to be concerned there. So Monty asked a pretty good one, and we'll wrap this up. I know our safety room is deep, but do you guys think Boganowski is too good to keep off the field? Bro, I'm going to be honest. Man, so I think that Boganowski, athleticism-wise, capabilities-wise, I think it's going to be tough to keep him off the field. I don't know about scheme-wise yet, though, right? That's my question. How is he picking up the scheme? Is he ready to get out there and not be a liability as a young player? I don't see him hitting the field because of him learning the playbook fully. But I do see him playing in some of the games where there's a big blowout, right? I can see some fourth quarter play out of him. I can see fourth quarter play out of Reggie Powers. And it's only because understanding your responsibilities. Because if I'm correct, right? It sounds like there's a good chance you can have a Boganowski and Powers out there, playing cheetah, jumping into cheetah role on top of safety.
Yeah.
And Boganowski's going to get bigger, right? I can expect him to play at like 230. He's a big kid. Powers too, because Reggie is RP3 came in big boy, and he's still hovering around 210. I could totally see him going into 220s and being like someone that blasts dudes on a regular basis. So I think scheme wise is what's going to keep him off the field today. I don't think it's going to be his capabilities. I think he has a very high ceiling. I think just learning everything is what will slow him down. Coop, what you think?
I mean, he can go as far as he wants to. And if off camera, when I talked to his dad, I mean, Deuce should have probably been a high 4-star player. But some sour grapes hit, and he kind of stayed under the radar because of other people reporting things. And so this was a humongous win by Coach Hall. And I mean, Coach Hall has
massive.
I mean, he's somewhat overshadowed because of Emma Jones, but he's going to be on the field quite often this year. And he's a guy who is smart. He makes the decisions the correct way. Listen, in some of the stuff that all the film stuff that I've seen, he's not insane, but he's got the little bit of crazy that you need. So when we remember back in the day, the old Brandon Everidge hits, a lot of us grew up thinking that's how safety play needed to be played at Oklahoma, and we haven't had a guy. I think it was Quentin Carter. He had a little bit of it. But most of our guys were big athletic guys like Reggie Smith, at safety, since then. You had some, I guess, ill-advised hits here and there. But Bo Gutnowski is going to bring some fear. And, again, going over the middle is going to be a business decision if he's out there playing cheetah. And, guys, don't be super surprised either, Jay, and I've said this to you. Don't be super surprised if you look out there and there's 4 freaking safeties on the field. Like, what's going on? That is a very big possibility that to happen at times.
And Zach Alley defense, man, he does run a 3 safety high often. You may see a 4th one populate instead of a DB just because you want to make sure you're hitting somebody, as well as a lot of corners. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if anything. Shout out to Midland Sooners for the $5. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Sheba Dog writing with a brush, writing number 1 on a piece of paper. All right. Number 1. This goes only one.
The description.
Oklahoma.
I think you got a little description there. I love it, man. Appreciate you.
It. We appreciate that 100%. So, all right, Coop. Week 0, right? Looking at this schedule here, you got the Florida State, Georgia Tech game. And honestly, when you look past the top 25 and you start looking at some of the smaller games, like I think SMU Nevada is going to be an interesting one. If you decide to go into FCS, you've got, I don't think we have anybody big in here for these games. We're trying to think. There's got to be somebody else in here. Yeah. Oh, Montana State, New Mexico, meh. But I think that Florida State, Georgia Tech game is going to be what's going to be interesting. That's the one I'm going to be tuned into personally. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Georgia Tech they've got something up their sleeve. I mean, if you guys have seen, they signed an absolute stud at offensive lineman. They are rumored to be in the competition for a couple of other guys that they typically don't get, and which is kind of the good side of the good side of NIL is some of these schools can pony up and get something going. I mean, you kind of just see it as the Najee Kennedy stuff to Texas Tech. It's when you got opportunity to maybe put your campus on the map, creating emotion is a really, really good option. The SM.
You pointed that out real quick. The beauty of NIL is that it provides the parity that people claim that they want.
Yeah,
in some capacity. I mean, you're going to get an occasional big-time player that's going to go to a random school, NIL-wise or academic-wise, well, NIL and academic-wise. That's not a bad thing. I mean, it takes them away from schools that you don't want them to go to. Just unfortunately, your school ain't one of them. But anyway, back to SMU, Nevada.
SMU Nevada is another big one. Nevada is a team that has some prowess to them on offense, and they always do well. They always can put up points. SMU is I wouldn't even call them a dark horse in the ACC anymore this year. I would think that a lot of people are starting to give them a little bit of flowers because you don't know what Miami's going to look like. You don't know what what Florida State is going to look like this year. With DJU coming in, how does the hangover from the end of the year last year hurt? So. But yeah, the Georgia Tech Florida State game, that's one of the really, really hard things about these early season games with some of these when 2 teams play and you're like, what are we looking at here? Is, last year you saw Florida State, kick three shades of what out of LSU, and you thought, man, LSU may have struggled going 500 this year. You saw Notre Dame ball out, and you thought, man, Notre Dame's going to be in the playoffs. And so I always just try to, keep, like I said it earlier in the show, keep yourself, a little temper that enthusiasm, because some of these things are big. And Hawaii. Hawaii is another program. I mean, that's one of those games to where
Hawaii's fun.
Hawaii's
usually
fun team to watch. And guys, again, would you rather watch Delaware State, Hawaii, or whatever's on ESPN right now?
This is also at 10:59 p.m., 11 o'clock. I don't think anybody's going to be probably up. I mean, unless you really won't miss Pac-12 After Dark. I'm going to miss Pac-12 After Dark. When I wake up in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep and I'm not going, I turn TV on and boom, you got a Pac-12 game going into that Washington game with Cam Ward's going in the fourth quarter, Washington State. You'd be like, oh, man, this is some good stuff. We ain't going to get that in a month. Pac-12 After Dark is dead.
I think so, and I'm looking. Oh, okay, it switched up. I was going to say we got some more games here, but it kind of comboing those two things together. So it looks like we got 4 games.
Yeah,
you got 4 games going on. But then again, on Thursday, the 29th, we get a load of games. Obviously, we play on Friday, so yeah, it's I think we got some fun. We're days away, like I said.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Chuck, thank you so much for the kind words here. Coop, your interviews with the parents have been dope. Of course, everybody loved them. They are life, hearing what parents think and love. So, all right, we'll wrap it up with a bow on it. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. So we're about an hour 10 past, so hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you're listening, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Think we deserve it. Just give us 5 anyway. Gifted. And so for Coop and myself, we'll be back Wednesday. We will be live for the Fasusi commitment. We will probably also go live in the evening to even talk more about that, as well as talk through fall camp stuff and preparation for Temple, week 0, all of that jazz. So make sure y'all keep your eyes open for that to drop. And we'll chop it up with all of you. I don't know, another day or 2. Peace.